Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Hello and welcome to Soccer in 60. I'm your girl, Nina Kiefer, and thank you for joining me on this lovely Thursday. Co-hosting along with me today, we have, of course, Christian Philly Philemon. Philly, what's happening?
I know what you're thinking right now.
What am I thinking?
And I completely agree. I've got my telepathic hat on, and you are absolutely right. How in the heck do we keep doing this? How in the heck do we spend all of our free time together, our holidays together, and now working together? Unreal. It would seem to me as if you can't get rid of me and I can't get rid of you, but my sinister sister from another mister, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure my parents still like you more than me, so we're on for a good show.
I mean, of course. I mean, that's a given. I mean, we talk baseball with your dad, mom, hockey, all kinds of stuff. You're boring. You're a 70-year-old trapped in a 30-year-old's body.
It is just about bedtime for me. You're right. So if you're sitting in traffic on your way home, sun is setting, I say it's time to go to bed. But you're listening to us on 1490 AM, 98.1 FM in much of the Inland Empire, the KMET app, KMET1490am.com, and of course, Empire Strykers, Instagram, YouTube. You can search us on all major platforms. Just search Soccer in 60. You're in for a fun show today.
I would say, I mean, you probably rehearsed that in front of the bathroom mirror, 47 times before hopping onto the StreamYard? I'm pretty sure that was it, right?
Absolutely. At least 47 times.
We have a special guest on today's show, folks, rocking my Empire Strykers jersey, which means we got an Empire Striker on the show. I'm going to get the opportunity to chat with Alex Bradley later on in this episode. We had a great sit-down interview, quite a long one, but then again, there wasn't a whole lot of action going on. Obviously, Empire Strykers getting ready to kick off their season in December, but stick around for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. Alex Bradley, a hell of a guy.
Yeah, I don't know when you're not long-winded, though, especially in your interviews. You get in deep.
Because you're in too deep and I'm trying. All right, my singing career is over. My rapping career is over. Maybe my opportunity to be a co-host on this pod will end after this episode, too.
Yeah, either that or you're going to get a new agent.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, I want to hire you as my agent. I don't want to work with you. I want you to get me jobs and find me money. You're Super Nina agent. That should be your gig.
All right. Well, with that, let's get into LAFC. We got some fun stuff to talk about there. Philly, let's do it.
Oh, let's do it. Only the 49th game across all competitions for LAFC this season. But, I mean, come on. Who's counting, right? We lost track of that a long time ago. The thing I have to say, though, is in this time, 2022, MLS did crown their champion. And yes, coincidentally, it was LAFC. The fact that we've barely gotten past the first round is wild. This MLS scheduling is bananas. Bananas.
I need to point out, sorry, no one can see the notes that you and I are looking at except you and I. In the notes, you spell bananas wrong. You spelled bananas.
I'm allowed to make spelling errors on my own notes. It doesn't matter. Nobody's here to proofread it, but oddly enough, I'm kind of shocked.
Bananas, Bananas.
All right, look, I might have mistyped it, but at least I didn't say it that way. All right, let's talk about LAFC, please. All right, the Vancouver Whitecaps again. Oh, gosh. 3-1-0 all-time in the playoffs against Vancouver. Nina, you were at this game. I happened to be calling a college basketball game when this was going on. You texted me at one point about how unbelievably exciting it was, in particular in the first half, and I have no doubts. The first 45 minutes, we saw one shot on target, 27th minute by Brian White. What an amazing first 45 minutes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when I go to soccer, what I'm really looking for is at least one shot.
I mean, that's what Founders Club is for, because you go there not only to watch one shot, but to take one shot.
I go with the wine. I got my bubbly rosé up there.
Well, nobody's, I mean, if it's 8 ounces or 12 ounces, I mean, it could be considered shot if you just guzzle it right down. All right. So getting back on the subject, because we've obviously fallen off the rails a little bit. Yes, one shot over the course of an entire 45 minutes. Oh, and by the way, it wasn't by way of LAFC. And keep in mind that LAFC was coming off of an embarrassing 3-0 loss over in BC Place in Vancouver not that long ago. So clearly the Whitecaps not playing with a chip on their shoulder from constantly getting beaten by LAFC, but at the same time, feeling themselves a little bit just due to the fact that, well, we just beat LAFC 3-0 and we're going to upset them in their home. But the second half came about and we had a totally different set of circumstances, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, definitely changed it up. And, sometimes it really does come down to a good halftime talk and getting like a little fire under everyone, because nobody wanted to go extra. Nobody wanted to go to PKs, nothing like that. So let's get fired up and let's get going, I think was the sentiment.
Yeah, no doubt. So we head into the 62nd minute where we saw the diving header heard all the way around the Inland Empire. And what I mean by that is as follows. There was an attempt taken on Vancouver's keeper, Takaoka, and he had a goal kick. And Aaron Long, former Highlander, UC Riverside, go Highlanders, had this sensational, aggressive header that heads right off of Vancouver player Andres Kubas, right to Matty Bogusz. You want to talk about an unfortunate set of circumstances? Cue in your lemony snickets. Matty Bogusz gets it. He absolutely scorks. What the hell does the word scork mean? Scorches past Ranko Veselinovic and skirts it past Takaoka, who gets caught flat-footed. Now, a better keeper, dare I say, a better keeper should have made that save. Matty Bogusz kept it low, and the Polish pistolier himself, 20 goals across all competitions. You were in Founders Club that night. How was BMO's atmosphere after Matty put LAFC up?
Oh, just on fire. And you know what? I do agree with you. I think a better keeper would have gotten there. When you talk about being flat-footed and we talk about keepers, the whole thing is as they're approaching, you got to be on your toes. You got to be ready. It wasn't like he had already committed. It was just kind of caught dead on the line.
I'm sorry. Was that your professional analysis? Could you just repeat that one more time? I couldn't quite get it. Was what?
Like cut.
How do you spell that?
UGH. Just also.
That's all that LAFC would need, but there was a gasp. Oh my gosh, bite your cuticles moment. You were there, 74th minute, and coincidentally, former LAFC defender Tristan Blackman gets a header past Hugo Lloris, but it didn't take long for the official to rule that offside. As a former referee, he was off by about a mile, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but anytime you have moments like that, your adrenaline is just rushing so much. And all I could think is, oh my God, did they just equalize? And you're just like clenching and like, oh, I can't even look. It's like when we go to PKs and things like that. And you want to know what it's going to be. You don't want to have to wait. But yeah, definitely off by a mile for that one. Tristan, fortunately, getting called back. And all I can think about when I see Tristan Blackman's name is the fact that, one of the times this season that LAFC played against Vancouver, Tristan scored the own goal for us. So I'm like, Tristan, don't you dare score.
There was that. Then he had the handball that led to a goal in another game. Tristan Blackman clearly hasn't forgotten how much he loves LAFC.
And we love him too.
Absolutely. And what we would love is oh, yeah. What we would love, obviously, just because of that, LAFC finally gets out of the first round. We no longer have to play the Vancouver Whitecaps. And LAFC would finish with 2 shots on target. They had 0 at the end of the first half. They had 2 at the end of the second. Not a very convincing victory, but a victory nonetheless. An XG of spots 0.79, that's not going to cut it. But Vancouver obviously wasn't any better with 0.69. In the press conference post-game, head coach Vanni Sartini of the Vancouver Whitecaps was asked about the team's overall assessment for the season. He gave them a B-, but he also mentioned the fact, well, on aggregate, Vancouver did win 4-3. And while that was pretty funny, it's kind of scary, too, at the same time, because LAFC didn't look that good, and it's going to be really tough as they head into the next round, taking on the Vancouver I'm so used to saying taking on the Vancouver Whitecaps that I almost said it there. Taking on the Seattle Sounders. That's not going to be easy. That's another team that's really pissed off at us for having whooped them several times in the past couple of seasons. That's not going to be any easy either.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I want to take a quick second. Let's talk about this MLS playoff bracket, because a lot of stuff has gone on throughout, especially with these first opening games. We're seeing a lot of great teams getting knocked out by this stupid first round of playoffs.
Atlanta beat Miami. There will be no Messi at all in the MLS Cup final. And I know Don Garber is beside himself. The sponsors are beside themselves. I'm getting choked up and all emotional. Inter Miami is no longer there. But in addition to them, the Red Bull of New York, Reality New Jersey, knocked out the defending champion Columbus Crew as well. So what that means going forward, the team that has the top record after those two teams is LAFC. So if LAFC successfully gets through each and every round of the playoffs, including MLS Cup, it will be at BMO Stadium. If, God forbid, LAFC does not, well, the next best team is the Galaxy. So very strong possibility that one way or another, the MLS Cup final will run through Los Angeles.
Absolutely. And, as we talk about the fact that we've got a little bit of time to kill, we've got international duty.
International duty. You said duty. Giggity.
And within that, LAFC do have 5 players that have been called up. LA Galaxy, who we will transition to more momentarily, only 1. But quickly give us the rundown right there. What's happening with the LAFC international duty?
Matty Bogusz gets to play for Poland. Denny Bwanga for Gabon. Kai Kamara, baby, in the tender young age of the 40s on the 4th floor with Sierra Leone. Nathan Ordaz going to represent El Salvador, and Kike Oliveira representing Uruguay. Everybody is going to play on the 15th. Other than Nathan Ordaz, El Salvador is going to be playing on the 14th, and Kai Kamara is going to be competing against Zambia on November the 19th. That's the international duty for LAFC. Fingers crossed that the boys don't get hurt. We need them. This international duty break thing right now in the midst of the playoffs is BANANAS.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we wrap up and go over to LA Galaxy, they do have one player that has been called up. It's a little different than everyone else there, but we can give a congratulations to Ruben Ramos Jr., called up for USA from LA Galaxy. Ramos was named the U15 MLS Next MVP in the 2021 through 2022 season for MLS Next. And then he was named LA Galaxy Player of the Year in 2023. He actually signed with LA Galaxy in 2023 and signed a contract through 2028. So super exciting to see him called up as well for the U20 team. So the U.S. Youth National Team.
Yeah, the young midfielder, 17 years old. I was barely able to tie my own shoes at 17 years old. He was seen on the pitch for the Galaxy on 2 matches, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. This will be some exciting stuff. As a member of the U20 for U.S. Youth National Team, they'll be going into Spain with matches against Korean Republic and France. So keep an eye out on that. That'll be interesting. What we do know about the LA Galaxy, Nina, is they've had a very lengthy time to wait in between rounds, and they're still going to have to wait because if y'all forgot, they absolutely decimated the Colorado Rapids on their 2 occasions. I think the aggregate was something like 9-1. It was utterly ridiculous. Galaxy walloped the Colorado Rapids like I would be walloping the smack-a-mole things at an arcade. It wasn't even
Smack-a-mole? It's whack-a-mole, sir.
What did I say?
Smack-a-mole.
Whatever. It sounds better if you smack-a-mole rather than whack-a-mole. Why are you talking smack to me, Nina?
Because it's so much fun. You're my brother, so I have to talk smacks to you, and I have to correct your notes that no one else can see but me.
Fair enough. Somebody that was talking smack, though, I don't know if you got to see this. You got to see the video. Former LAFC goalkeeper, current Galaxy goalkeeper, and friend of this podcast, might I add, because he was on there. John McCarthy got fined an undisclosed amount for what we assume it was a negative and inappropriate gesture after the Galaxy's win in Colorado. If you go back and watch the footage of it, it's going to make you chuckle. I highly recommend that you do. We can't share these on the show because we don't have the rights to it. And yes, it was mildly inappropriate, but you have to watch it. Quite funny. So he was talking smack to the Rapids. As a result of that, an undisclosed fine. But some positive notes that do come by way of the Galaxy. Gabriel Peck, newcomer of the year in Major League Soccer. What an unbelievable season this young man had.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a Brazilian winger, and he got 16 goals, 14 assists in 33 matches. Some quick math on that. That's 30 out of 33. But, it's not all. That's just the average. if you will. But yeah, like you said, annihilating the Rapids. He's just had a great year, great performance. He's actually a young designated player. So not just a DP, but a young designated player. And of course, in MLS, we have to make everything confusing with TAM GAM, designated players, allocation money, and all those things. Yeah. How do you say it, Philly?
Wham, bam, tam, thank you, ma'am. Like, it's just, there's too many ridiculous rules in Major League Soccer. Like discovery rights, for example. That'd basically be the equivalent of me and Nina owning teams in Major League Soccer and going, I got dibs on Neymar. So if Nina wanted to get Neymar on her team, she would have to pay me because I had the discovery rights on Neymar, just simply because I called dibs. Look, it gets a little more complex than that. But to the layman, that's exactly what it seems. Oh, MLS is going to MLS. And how does it MLS?
But very exciting honor for him. You know, I believe last year it was Messi. Shocker.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Who's that guy? He's not playing right now. I think they're out. No.
He's going to be picking up golf in Fort Lauderdale, because that's really where Inter Miami is, Inter Fort Lauderdale.
Oh my goodness, just all of the shade in terms of locations with the New York Red Bulls and now that.
They play in Harrison, New Jersey. I mean, I say tongue-in-cheek, the New Jersey energy drinks, but come on. They're not the New York Red Bull, and I get it. The Jets and the Giants, NFL teams do play in New Jersey, but they did start in New York, I must say. And while the Metro Stars did practice in Queens, all right, never mind. I'm going to get off that soapbox.
As soon as you start to say Queens, the New Yorker, and you comes out, and all I can think is, I'm on a long-distance call.
Oh, you really, really went deep into the treasure trove of funny things that I've said and caught on to that. All right, look, a little more Galaxy banter, if you will. They're going to be taking on Minnesota United in the next round, and Minnesota United really did the Galaxy a favor because Minnesota United knocked out RSL in the last round. RSL was the better team. 2 games that went into penalty kicks, and Minnesota United won both of them. We're going to talk more about this preview on the next podcast next week, but it's still, I think they did themselves a losing to Houston, the Dynamo might have been the best thing that ever happened to the Galaxy, because the Rapids, not a good team. They had a bad run of form. I would rather be taking on Minnesota United than RSL. And then in the next round, once they advance and once LAFC advances, El Tráfico, baby, for the Western Conference Final and the right to go to the MLS Cup.
That is going to be one stressful game, but we'll be here to cover it all. Super exciting there. And with that, let's get into some more super exciting news as we talk about the upcoming season of Empire Strykers.
Oh, baby, I can't wait. A lot of news starting to come out of the Major Arena Soccer League. The Empire Strykers have their first home game on December the 13th against Utica City FC. They'll be on the road to start things off, though, against the defending champion Chihuahua Savage. And this is a whole different looking team. But before we get into that, we are going to talk to one of the newest members of the Empire Strykers, a champion, by the way, in the Major Arena Soccer League, having played for the Milwaukee Wave, Alex Bradley. Let's go to that interview real quick. Well, not real quick, because it was a fun, long conversation, but we'll get back to this in just a second. Our guest today is a star of the Major Arena Soccer League, a legend with the mighty Milwaukee Wave, and a brand new member of the Empire Strykers. Hailing from England, he's spent well over a decade playing in the United States, starting with his collegiate career and most recently appearing in 105 games over the course of 6 consecutive seasons with the Wave. As one of the most versatile players in the MASL, being able to play both defender and target forward, he has already won a league trophy with Milwaukee and now looks to do the same here in Empire. Let's give a warm welcome to Alex Bradley. Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
As are we. I said it earlier. I can't believe this is the first time you and I are having a conversation, but we're changing that. Alex, you're originally from England. You spent the last 6 MASL seasons in Wisconsin. Now, I know you have some strong ties to Chicago and spent a lot of time there, but now finding yourself here in Southern California, I gotta ask, how are you liking it so far, and how much do you really, really miss the constant rain and freezing cold?
It's actually a funny time when you ask me this question. The building I just lived in just sent a text out, like, forgetting I'm not living there anymore. And they're like, hey, like, you know, buying winter supplies and snow shovels and this and that. Like, what do we need? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to leave that chat. It's nice to be here. Obviously, the weather is insane. Kind of feels a bit weird, you know, as you approach Christmas. I remember being in Florida for the first time over a Christmas period. and there was Christmas music playing with the sunshine, and it's kind of takes some getting used to, because from England as well, it gets cold, there's snow and stuff like that. But I'm very much enjoying my time here. I've only been here about a week now, and yeah, like go out by, there's a pool and a hot tub in the building that we're in, and it's a bit surreal doing it in a November time, but yeah, excited to enjoy a full a longer stay on the West Coast. Yeah.
I give you about a month or two before your skin gets thin enough to where you start getting cold at 65 degrees. It happened to me. I'm from New York. I never understood warm winters. And now I'm one of those people that wears mittens in 60 degrees. It's going to happen to you, Alex. I promise you that.
Yeah. And I'm a very, very pasty guy. So I got to be careful with the sun out here. I got to keep my sunblock on, my sun cream.
That goes without saying. Now, when someone like you, who is a legend, if you will, with a club, takes things in a different direction and joins another club, that's going to raise eyebrows, especially given your new team boasts a fairly young roster and is coming off what was a very difficult season. Like, talk me through how this opportunity with Empire came about and what made you feel like it was the right move at this stage in your career.
Yeah, you know what? I got no bad blood with any of the teams I've ever played for. I always try and leave stuff, on a good note. And I think I did that with Milwaukee this year. Giuliano, amazing coach, Dan, the GM, we both had conversations when I left, and they said, this door's always open. But I very much felt like it was time for a kind of change of scenery, kind of step out my comfort zone a little bit. I feel like I'll have a slightly different role on this team here at Empire. In Milwaukee, it's not that we're not deep here, but very deep roster. We're competing. The thing in Milwaukee is you compete for a championship every single year. My first year there, we won a championship, and it was the biggest thing I remember was training was harder than 9 out of 10 of the games we played. We had such a deep roster that you got 20 guys fighting for, or 22 guys fighting for 14 or 15 roster spots every week. So, the competitiveness at practice helped have that level super intense. But yeah, I got no bad blood over there. I'm just excited for a new chapter, new challenge, I guess. And yeah, very excited to be here. Milwaukee was great. I had a great 6 years there, I think. Obviously winning a championship one year, that was an amazing experience. But excited for something new. Yeah.
Absolutely. Milwaukee Wave, legendary club, great fans. Jules is fantastic. Got to hang out with him at the Combine, but we're thrilled to have you here in Empire. I think I speak on behalf of myself and the entire broadcasting crew, who you'll get to meet soon, the doctor and Panda. Now, let's go back in time a little bit. I heard your aunt is indirectly responsible for the fact that you spent the past 12 or so years in the U.S. As we stated originally, you're from England. I think, 2012, you were in, of all places, Iowa, visiting your aunt who was living there. Yeah. Take us inside the story of how that trip would change the entire trajectory of your life.
All right, I'll try and keep it a little bit short because I can tend to waffle a little bit. But basically, I visited my aunt. She moved here 25 years ago, met someone on a vacation. They did a long-distance relationship from England to Iowa. They eventually got married. And then I would visit her, every year or 2 years as a kid growing up. So I kind of knew the Midwest. I knew Iowa. And then I was close to making it pro in England, in different academies, Watford, MK Dons, close to signing with Luton right before I left. University in England never really stuck out to me. I was the first person in my family to go to university. And then I started hearing about, this scholarship stuff and go into the US to try and play pro and, pursue the dream, whatever you want to call it. And anybody I spoke to that knew someone that had done it, they'd never said, oh yeah, I had a friend that went and did it. And, now he's back in England, living in London or living up north, or he got a family. It was always, I had a friend that went, now he lives in the US somewhere, got a family. No one had come back. So I was like, okay, there's something to this. Let me explore it. And went out there when I was 18, I think I was. And so I have a cousin that was out there, just graduated from high school. Showed me a great time, even in Iowa. They had just graduated high school, was about to go off to college. And he said to me, he was like, this isn't what Dubuque, Iowa was always like, but he's like, you're here for a great time before we all go off to different colleges. And in that same period where he showed me a really good time, I did my due diligence, went around a few different universities. My aunt actually kind of instigated it. She was like, oh, I heard the Loras College program is really successful. Just went to a Final Four. Always see stuff in the newspaper about them. Why don't you just call the coach? It's 5 minutes away. So I called the coach, go on a visit. I'm able to actually play in front of him in just like a men's league thing. And then I ended up looking at St. Ambrose, University of Dubuque as well, some other schools in kind of the area. And then I went home for a year to save up some money so I could afford to come out basically. And yeah, a year later, I found myself going back to Loras College, and very good 4 years there. I kind of went there with the impression that, you know, if I don't like it, they said, if you don't like it here, we'll help you go, you know, if you want to go D1. And we had a lot of guys at Loras College that were good enough to play D1. A lot that played D1 and transferred to Loras. A lot that started at Loras, left and come back. There was something about the culture there, something about winning. You know, we won, I think in my 4 years there, we won all 4 conferences. I think we won 3 conference tournaments, Final Four appearance, championship game appearance. Unfortunately, didn't end our way, but winning was fun, and the culture and the friends that I made there. I mean, everyone will say that about their college experience, but I genuinely think that group of Loras College guys that I'm still friends with now, that was what took me to Chicago as well from Milwaukee this summer. And it's a really special, tight group of friends that I call a lot of them my best friends now.
Yeah, same here. I went to Indiana University, and most of my friends I keep in touch with from there, as opposed to childhood growing up in New York City. I think I have got like a handful from back home. Everybody's from IU. Midwest people just have a different character. They're a lot nicer than the people on the coasts. And with that being said, Alex, you've been in the U.S. for almost half your life. Your accent is fascinating. Obviously, it doesn't sound like Chicago or Iowa, but I wonder how many people, and I'm not putting the Midwest on blast here, but how many people would guess you're from England when they first hear you talk? Would you say that interesting blend is representative of how you feel on the inside? I guess, in other words, do you still feel like an Englishman spending time in another country, or has your identity become more complicated than that?
I think it's become a lot more complicated because now you're going to hear my accent even more now because I'm consciously thinking about it. But I definitely know I've lost a lot of my accent. I go home, you know, people comment on how I sound or how I say things. I'll be, you know, talking to some American friends or whatever. And then if my brother phones me or my mum phones me, my accent immediately goes back to being very English. And they kind of look at me like, whoa, you kind of changed the way you sound. Also, on that note, I'll meet people and it'll take them a while sometimes to be like, wait, do you have an accent? And no offense to the American accent, but I don't like that. It's something in my brain that automatically started changing the way I say things. And it's kind of, you know, you don't want to repeat yourself. When you talk with a strong accent, people always want you to repeat yourself. And then your brain kind of goes, okay, if I change the way I say a few things, I'm not going to have to repeat myself. I think that's why it happened. But yeah, I think I got a bit of a little, now it sounds very English, but when I normally talk, it's a little bit of a Midwest twang and English. I always get asked if I'm Australian. And always, it's never English. So I think it is a bit of a blend of both nowadays.
That's hilarious. Is it something trigger in your mind? You're like, oh no, Yankee. Is that what happens when?
So like,
Prior to you arriving in the Inland Empire, you said you were excited to join a young team and have a chance to contribute your experience from playing under some great coaches and for a top-notch organization like the Milwaukee Wave. You've now trained with the Strykers for a couple of weeks-ish. You know, what potential are you seeing from this team? And how do you feel like you've been able to impact the growth of the younger players as a whole?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like I've had a little bit of a backseat kind of watching from you know, when I started, which is just over a week ago to now. But there's a lot of potential with a lot of the young guys. We have a big group right now. I think today at training it was maybe 40 or 45. And we obviously need to cut that number down as we approach the season. I think that's going to happen towards the end of this week. But I know that I talked to a few of the guys from last year, and there was 10 plus guys that were playing week in, week out last year that were rookies. And I've always said, like, personally, my biggest development, my biggest jump came from year 1 to year 2 in the league. And I think it's the biggest improvement you see, especially if you get minutes in your rookie season. I think, so I'm excited for those guys that got good minutes last year, but were first years, for them to, you know, with the training with, you know, Obasi coming in as the new coach. He's very detail oriented. I think he's going to really help those first year guys excel and learn the game quite quick. I see a lot of potential. He's made a few good signings obviously this year as well. You know, Palmer is a massive pickup, defender of the year last year, I believe. You know, loads of experience. Bringing Clayson back in goal as well, just a bit more experienced and very good with his feet. Yeah, I'm very excited about the prospects of, you know, and we've got a few more guys still to come in. I know Marco is coming back. I haven't seen him in action yet, and I'm very excited to see him. If we can get the visa thing going and we get, you know, Pink Panther, that would be huge. But I know how the visa stuff goes and how USCIS can be, and that would be amazing if we could get him this year. But yeah, very, very excited about the potential for this team this year.
Absolutely. I think the Strikers just posted something about him getting MVP over the last weekend in the Kings League down in Mexico. So
Yeah.
I hope we see that kid. I've got a Pink Panther goal call for when we do. But anyway, the Strikers, like you mentioned, announced the signing of an exciting and up-and-coming new coach. You said it, MASL veteran Anu Obasi. Having now enjoyed a few training sessions under Coach Obasi, like, what's your impression of the new man in charge?
Yeah, like, I don't want to repeat myself, but I really like how he's approaching things. He's very specific. He'll stop it a lot, when he sees things. That's what this young group needs. It's details. Indoor is so different to outdoor. It's a different sport. When I talk to people that don't know the game, I say, listen, it's more like basketball and ice hockey than it is outdoor soccer. Now that might not be correct, whatever, but like there are certain runs, certain plays, a lot of patterns, right? And a lot of like, if the ball's here and this is the way the play's looking, you don't want to be right here. Or like, don't make this run, or there's just certain things to do. And I think Obasi's going to bring that very detailed mindset, that let's stop it, let's walk through this. And he's got everyone's attention already. It's really good. The guys are really respecting him, which I think is a huge, huge positive as he's coming. He's only been there, a couple of days. I'm excited to see where this group can go under him for sure. Absolutely.
Now, Empire's made some waves. Pun intended, I guess, during the offseason with a bunch of high-profile signings, including yourself. 2021 MASL Goalkeeper of the Year in Clayson de Lima. You referred to him earlier. Reigning MVP, La Pantera Rosa, Renato Castillo, and reigning Defender of the Year, Robert Palmer. Having been on several Wave teams that contended for a championship, what's your sense of the quality of the Strikers squad? Like, what do you feel fans can realistically expect from this club this season?
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and start, we want to win. We want to win a championship. Every team in the MASL and every team in any league and any sport is going to start the season say it's really exciting. We want to win. I think first port of call is let's make playoffs. Once you make playoffs in any sport, anything can happen as well. And I definitely think this squad now, as it's coming together, we've had guys coming in over the last few days. Like I said, we've still got a few more guys to come in over the next week. We need to trim, I don't want to, offend anyone, but trim some of the fat, so we can figure out what our top, 20, 24 guys is going to look like. But we just seem to be getting deeper and deeper. When I first got here, I was watching and I'm like recognizing guys that have come in from other teams and stuff and not knowing a lot of the guys. I'm horrible with names. I still probably only know 10 or 15 of the guys' names. But yeah, I think over the next 7 days, we're going to get a very good look at, okay, realistically, this is where we can get to this year. And, whether that's, let's make playoffs and try to create some noise, or whether it's like, oh, I don't want to swear, but oh crap, we could really compete here because we do have a lot of quality. Like the squad has got deeper, like I said, with the signings we've made, and with that big jump, like I said, all those rookie guys that got a lot of minutes last year, that is going to play into our favor a lot this year because some of them will absolutely run away with it this year and really improve compared to last year. So I don't want to put this as the expectation on the year, but playoffs I'm going to say is absolute minimum. And then I would say like anything can happen. And obviously we'd love to be going as deep as possible in the postseason.
Fingers crossed. It's been a while since I've had any kind of postseason presence for an Empire Strykers broadcast. So please make this come into fruition. And we're really excited. And we do really believe in you and the boys that you're going to get it done. Folks, we were just having a conversation with the newest member of the Empire Strykers, Alex Bradley. Alex, any final words before we let you go?
No, I'm just excited to keep working and keep training with the team. And excited to see where this group can go. I know it's we're all excited, all the players and the coach just coming in the last few days, Anua. And I think it's going to be a fun season. I think it's going to be fun.
Can't wait. Alex, thank you so much for your time today on Soccer in 60 and good luck this season.
Thank you, Philly. Appreciate it, mate.
So fantastic conversation that we had with Alex Bradley. What'd you think of him, Nina?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I'm very excited for this season. The back and forth between you two, I could have listened to that all night.
Oh, so could I. He was a very fun guy to chat with. I didn't realize that he came up through Watford's youth academy. He's got a phenomenal story as he was coming up and going into the United States. But bless his aunt for living in Iowa. That's what brought him to the United States. And quite honestly, that's what had him land on the Strikers, which is very cool. Now, Empire's done a lot of big signings, a lot of big things, but the crazy news that it transpired last week, and I think we briefly alluded to it on the last pod, Paul Wright is no longer the head coach of the Empire Strykers. The legendary former San Diego Soccer, who's got his name in the rafters at Pechanga, soon to be Front Wave Arena, left after, 16 months, and taking his place is MASL veteran Onua Obasi. Obasi was a member of the then called Ontario Fury, and he takes over. Obasi was going to be the coach of the new MASL team in Danbury, Connecticut, but the Empire Strykers poached him, and now he is at the helm of the Empire Strykers. He's got a treasure trove of talented players that are going to be on this team, of course, headlined by Marco Fabian. He coached Newtown Pride over at the TST. Obasi's going to be a dynamic addition to this team. He knows the game. He's played the game. And obviously, Paul Wright did too. But Obasi is he played it more recently with some of the players that he's going to be coaching.
Yeah, I think that's going to go a long way. You know, we talk about chemistry a lot as it pertains to teams. And I think having somebody that can relate to them, that can show that he experienced, but also help lead the team is going to work really well. And he'll be able to connect with the players in a unique way. So very excited for this next upcoming season. You know, you and I are both going to be at every game, every single home game. So I will say, make sure y'all get your tickets. It's going to be a great time. We've got 12 home games this season starting and kicking off on December 13th. That would be Friday the 13th, but we're going to make it a fun one for you. And then we will be seeing you for all those matches after that. So grab your tickets. If you've got a group out there, if you guys want to bring out like your youth team or your work party, go ahead and send us a DM Soccer in 60, DM Strikers. We'll get you set up. We'll make sure that you're there and having fun.
Absolutely. And fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being back on the call with Jonathan Reimer, back on the call with Amanda the Panda Film. And no, folks, she is not my sister. This will be a good stuff. But, you know, I never on the air welcomed you. You are the director of match day presentation now for the Empire Strykers. So once again, you and I get to work together because it's not enough just podcasting together. Now we officially get to work together again.
Yeah, you're stuck with me. I get to go run around behind the scenes. So if anybody misbehaves, y'all come and let me know and I'll put Philly on it.
No, you're the scarier of the two. I mean, I've seen you get all management-like, and it scares the living daylights out of me.
I just love a good Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, that terrifies me. Absolutely terrifies me. I tell you, folks, she actually manages my schedule. We're not married. We don't date. We're just best friends. She manages my schedule. If I don't know what I'm doing over the weekend, I have to text Nina. Nina, am I free? No, can't do it. Sorry, folks. That's
it works out really nicely. And, you know, I do like to keep things in line. And with that, we're going to talk a little bit about Angel City. So we already know that Angel City is out for the season. They are done. Nothing to preview, unfortunately, and nothing to recap. But what we can talk about is the season as a whole and our impressions and takeaways from it. So I've gotten in trouble before for player ratings and being a little too mean or whatever. But I just want to talk.
You never.
I know, right? But just talking about a few things that I see as opportunities for next season, you know, I want to start in goal. I think that Didi Heritage has always been a really solid foundation for Angel City in goal, but I also feel like we are seeing a lot from some of our other keepers, and I think there's a great opportunity for that spot to once again be up for grabs. As the coaching staff changes around, I think it's really important that we get somebody strong back there between the poles, but also that connects really well with our center back. So when we talk about those, we're talking like Reed and Gordon. And, you know, I really want to see Giselle Thompson in a starting role. I want to see, I'm not really even sure. I want M.A. Vignola on the back line. I really do. I know she's been doing a little better pushing up, but I trust her on that back line, and I think she's quick.
I am a big fan of Katie Zellum, and not just because we had her on the pod last week, not because she's an FA Cup winning player with Manchester United, not only because she was part of the England team that was in the World Cup final. I like her as a player. I mean, she's been through some of the most unbelievable what stages when it comes to world football. I mean, playing at the highest level, playing for some of the biggest clubs, where she's been, what she's seen, who she's played against, who she's competed with. I mean, she's the player I want to keep an eye on because I think she is a dynamic addition to this squad.
I'm with you there. I love seeing her in the midfield. I also really like Hammond. You talk about the speed and things like that. I think Angel City needs to set themselves up to be a team of speed that moves the ball quickly, that doesn't prioritize possession, but that instead prioritizes quick movement of the ball forward and movement towards goal without trying to go out too wide. So I love Zellum. I love Hammond on the wings. And I love LaRue up top. And I know that's a weird thing to say, but I think she brings a strength and an energy to the position, and her ability comes from being able to receive that ball and hold it in order for other people to make runs. And when you're looking for speed up the wings, you need somebody that's going to be able to turn and either shoot, crash the box, or hold it up and then play it in for everyone else. So I think that's great. One forward that I think is a little difficult to talk about can be Kristen Press.
I mean, look, the team put so much faith into her. I mean, the stock, that was the exciting signing that they had. And unfortunately, poor Kristen had to deal with all these injuries, and she never quite clicked because obviously she was just dealing with injuries and rehab. The fact, though, that she was able to get on the pitch is a testament to how hard she was willing to work and just have the opportunity to play with her teammates. I mean, nobody would have thought otherwise if she would have just called it a day because of the number of injuries that she's had. So obviously a true professional, but Angel City FC made a lot of splashy signings over the course of that first season, but the one that really stuck through and is really taking care of business, and I don't know how long she's on contract for, but Sydney LaRue, I mean, what an exquisite player she was. Out of the three major players that they signed from the U.S. women's national team, she's the one that obviously stuck. She was the one that was by far the most successful and also the most fun to watch, dare I say.
Yeah, she's signed on through 2027. She's quoted as saying, I'm going to play until the wheels fall off. She's going to give it her all. And I don't think she ever doesn't leave everything on the pitch. And, speaking of players like that, Claire Emsley, our set piece taker, our kind of rock up there, but also able to have some really good chemistry, I think, with Maggie Doherty Howard is going to be really important. And, there's a third Thompson. There's a third Thompson sister. So I just keep waiting for us to bring her in. We can go Alyssa, Giselle, and Thompson number 3, and I'll be all happy. Now, I do want to
say Thompson number 3 because you forgot her name.
You got to say
oh, did I just call you out?
Nobody likes you here.
You're the only person that's here. So I guess that you could say, yes, 50% of the people on the show don't like us.
Like I said, it is kind of interesting to see how this season is shaped out differently. Our Iron Woman, Sarah Gordon, unfortunately not Iron Woman this year. None of our players up for anything. None of our coaches up for any of the awards. We just kind of ended up with a lackluster season. They started out really strong on the momentum of the 2023 season. And unfortunately, Angel City wasn't able to push through. And then you add in like the sanctions and things like that. And while they did prove to be a good second half team that continued to fight and try to make it to the end, there was something missing in that chemistry. And I will say, I think it was developing a true playing style that worked for everyone. You saw moments of where we were allowing that option to push forward and where you saw the girls clicking really well, but then you also saw moments of disconnect where we weren't covering correctly. And I think by developing our true identity and style, I think that will allow the team to advance even further, but it takes time. It's something that's really difficult to do. And we'll see how many of these players are able to sign on through the next season and to continue down, and what changes we see during the off season. It'll be quite exciting because I know this fan base is ready for playoffs and they're ready for a win. You can't survive in LA as a sports team if you're not making playoffs and not winning.
Yeah, too many things, too many distractions, too many beautiful things to do on the outside. You could ski and surf in a day, and that's no exaggeration. Yeah, I mean, this was not statistically record-wise though, the worst season that Angel City had. They had two seasons where they had 8 wins. This was a season in which they had 7, but believe it or not, they did end up scoring more goals than they did in their inaugural year. But yeah, just a disappointing finish to this, what was once a promising start, but looking forward to what the future has. They took care of things in the boardroom and the sponsorships and within the stadium and all the business side of things, but they have to provide a winning team on the pitch. No question.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to bring in Tiki Tim. Tiki Tim is here to talk some OCSC to us. What's happening, Tim?
Hey, guys. How are you in Philly? I was listening in just a few minutes ago. I like
You're
you.
spying on me. I'm just kidding.
It's more like stalking, you know.
That's a bit dark turn.
Well, hey, let's talk Orange County. You know, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this one. You know, Orange County
They're
was
paying
left
us to do it, Tim. I'm just kidding.
I'm glad somebody's getting paid. Hey, you know, Orange County was left for dead 12 weeks ago. They had a second coaching change, and the county boys were just sitting way too far outside of the playoff window. And Orange County tapped Danny Stone to come in and lead them for the final 9 matches. And they had a really tough one. His first one against Las Vegas, you know, they go up 2-0. And then they end up losing that match 3-2. It's just a heartbreaker. But then they had a couple of weeks off, right? They were hanging out. We got to know Coach even better. They listened to a different person's voice coming through because the two coaches were the same, basically. They were preaching the same thing, and it just wasn't working. Coach Stone had a few things that really came his way. He got the new voice in, and then he started getting some of the guys back from injury. Philly, you and I talked about this early part of July when we were talking about, hey, come September, these guys are going to be super dangerous because they will get a bunch of the players back. And they rocked and rolled. They just crushed it. In the final 9 matches, well, that turned into 11 matches. And they closed out the season 5-1-3 to make it not only smashing that playoff window, Philly and Nina, but they got into the 6th seed, which allowed them to play Memphis, you know, versus somebody else that was, you know, a little higher seed, like a New Mexico or something like that. And really what happened is they got in and they beat Memphis. We talked about it on the show that they had a great shot to beat Memphis, and they did. They beat them in extra time. And then they did catch a couple of poor breaks against the Colorado Switchbacks and ended up, you know, losing that game 2-1 after 120 minutes. But Philly, this was a great season by all accounts. I would think so. Wouldn't you agree?
Look, for where they were, I mean, it was kind of like not a bell curve. No, because then that would have ended the season poorly. Never mind. Forget
a reverse bell curve.
Yeah, a reverse bell curve. Yeah, let's go that way. It was a really incredible year. Just to highlight, they lost over the weekend to Memphis 901, coming up short in what was a fun and long, by the way, Western Conference semifinal. I thought, Tim, at one point I really thought they were going to take this game. Ethan Zubak scoring that first goal, all because he pressed. And I thought Christian Herrera got way too in his head. That enabled Zubak to go in there and score. Unfortunately, that would be the only goal that they would end up with. Zach Zandy, whose name you'd hear twice over the course of the game against Memphis 901, found the back of the net on that many occasions. But, man, it was really close. You talked about how the players were going to come back from injury. This could have been a whole different set of circumstances if Brian Olaski was healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Olaski going out with that devastating injury so early in the season, it could have easily been a backbreaker for the team, and they kind of fumbled around and floundered around without one of their true leaders on that team. You know, Thomas Among was also injured. He was a leader. He was leading the team in goals with 5 when he goes out with injury. And then Olaski just is devastating. And when they finally get into that second round playoff match against the Switchbacks, I think that really, really took it out of them. Even though they played them 1-1 until deep into extra time, I really think those were some of the things that caused Orange County issues. Now, I think what's really going to help them is that, unlike Memphis 901, who, if you haven't seen the news, but our friend Tom Boert just told us the other day, Memphis has ceased operations and will be moving to Santa Barbara for the 2026 season. Whereas Orange County has a lease for another 9 years at the championship stadium.
Yeah, the franchise rights do go to Santa Barbara Sky. So after this season, Memphis 901 will cease to exist. Santa Barbara Sky will be taking over, playing, though, in 2026. So that was kind of wild. In a way, I don't feel as bad for Orange County because at least they lived to survive another season. Memphis 901 literally playing for their lives because this is it. There will be no more walking in Memphis. I know we don't have too much time to talk much more about Orange County, but Tim, I got to ask you this because you were a referee. When Orange County found the ball in the back of the net in the 30th minute via Cameron Dunbar, they ended up calling, they disallowed it because Dylan Powers was fouled in the box and the play was ruled dead. I'm curious, what were your thoughts on that call?
If you look at that play, and they showed it on TV, they showed the replay twice, they were kind of fighting with each other. It was not a pick play. Even the announcers, who were clearly Colorado homers on this one, even they said there wasn't much of anything there. So that should not have been a foul. It should have easily have been 2-1. And then if you look at the late corner in the end of the first half, there was a clear handball that the assistant referee and the center referee missed. If that would have been, both of those had counted, it would have been 3-1, and Orange County would be facing off in the conference finals this weekend.
Yeah, and that's what I figured. It's unfortunate, but look, as we said, Orange County does get to fight another season. Memphis 901. This is it. You have my sympathy vote. I want to see y'all be successful there. From what I heard, the doors aren't completely shut on the idea of Memphis getting another team. Just Memphis 901, no more. Santa Barbara Sky, that means just we hop the Pacific Surf Liner, go drink some wine in Santa Barbara and catch some footy.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Have a great rest of the show. We'll catch you next week.
You don't want to hang out for the Elite Six? Stick
I'll
around.
hang out with you. I'm good.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're switching it up. We're not doing best 11 this week in honor of the start of the season for Strikers. Let's talk Elite Six. So Philly, talk to me real quick. Elite Six, what?
All right. So for those of you who follow the outdoor game 11v11, you're like, what the hell are these nuts talking about Elite Six? What in the hell is that? Well, the Major Arena Soccer League features teams 5 versus 5 with goalkeepers. So 6v6 really. Think hockey. Yeah, that's exactly it. Think hockey. So with no Angel City, no Empire Strykers, no LA Galaxy, there was only so many players that we can choose from. So we decided to have a little fun with this. And like Nina said, in honor of indoor, we went Elite Six. So take it away.
Let's go. So starting in goal, Hugo Lloris for LAFC. Defenders, Maxime Chanot for LAFC. Dylan Powers for Orange County.
No. Danger Powers. Dangerous is
God. Dylan Danger Powers for Orange County Soccer Club. Midfielder Sergi Palencia, LAFC, and Ryan Hollingshead for LAFC. And forward Matty Bogusz for LAFC, who is the captain. With that, I want to highlight Bogusz for LAFC. 2 chances created, 1 shot on target. He was our big set piece taker with 5 for 7 for accurate crosses and 6 corners taken. You can't underestimate and undervalue the importance of having a good set piece person, because those are it's truly what it says. Like, it's the opportunity to score a goal from really, really close. So when you've got somebody with a great foot taking your corner kicks, first of all, sometimes they score from those corner kicks. And second of all, those are the plays that are just easiest to score from if you can run them right. So got to give him a shout out there. And then Dylan Danger Powers. This one is fun for me. And I want to put him last, even though Maddie was our captain. I put him last because he got 9 clearances, 9 recoveries. He was 4 for 5 in his aerial duels. And somehow he ended up with a perfect 100 touches. Not 101, not 99. He touched the ball 100 times. And I just think that's fun.
Ooh, Century Club.
There you go.
It is part of the Century Club. That's a pretty great stat, because Dylan Powers, like you said,
and no.
Danger Powers. He's a major integral part of Orange County's midfield and center line. The entire game has really run through Dylan over the past couple of games, and it's just really fun to see him making this list as part of the defensive crew and really playing one of his best games when it mattered most in that Western Conference semifinal.
Absolutely. Philly, what are you thinking about Bogusz?
Look, 20 goals across all competitions. His lone goal helps propel LAFC into the next round in 3 straight years in which they've moved on as far as they have, and obviously wanting to continue on that streak all the way to the MLS Cup. Last season, it was all Denny Bawanga, and Denny shouldered the entire workload. If Denny didn't have a good game. Neither did LAFC. But somehow they managed to go all the way to the MLS Cup final, in which, by the way, Denny did score. It was his team, no doubt. But this season, along with Kike Oliveira, I mean, Matty Bogusz thrived. Not only did he thrive, but he caught the attention of the Polish national team, of a position that he had not been in at all. He got to go compete with Poland not too long ago, where he lined up against Robert Lewandowski of Barcelona, one of the best strikers in the world, his teammate. And now he's going to get the opportunity to do so again. I hate the fact that it's literally in the middle of our playoffs, but he absolutely deserves the nod for captain, and he absolutely deserves another call-up for the Polish national team.
Yeah, I love it. I think this is a really fun list here. I like that we're doing the Elite Six, no participation awards, all competition right here on this screen. So,
of course you love it. Didn't you make this list?
Yeah, and you know what? The graphics are fantastic too. Whoever did this deserves a raise.
No doubt. Wait, look, we got to say Hugo Lloris, another clean sheet for LAFC. LAFC's never really had that much of a problem in between the pipes, and it goes back to Tyler Miller. Tyler Miller was solid during his time there. Pablo Cisniega had himself a couple of good games. We never got to see Bubba Lopez too much, Jamal Blackman. I'm just trying to think of some of the other keepers.
I was going to say, are you trying to name every keeper in LAFC's history?
Maxime Crepeau, I thought, was our best keeper, and then we have Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris just shows us what a world-class keeper can do. And not only because of his ability to stop shots, his ability to contribute offensively, 3 assists. The minute he would find a winger running on those flanks, he would hit him on a drop of a dime. So Hugo Lloris, another amazing addition to this list, and LAFC.
Okay, I want to talk about a name that's not on here as you talk about like Hugo and things.
Philly.
Olivier Giroud. Do we forget Olivier Giroud?
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is. He doesn't seem to operate for LAFC.
That's what I'm saying. So wouldn't you expect him to be showing up here as a forward and helping out here? And I mean, do you forgive him if he pulls a Gareth Bale?
No, I mean, yes, of course I forgive him if he pulls a Gareth Bale. A game that's so important and he finds the back of the net. We know he's elite. We know he's fantastic. And he's done some pretty solid things. He had one great first touch that kept the ball in play that led to a Denny Bouanga shot in the series against
one
Vancouver.
Great first touch? Just one?
Just one, right, Philly? I mean, come on. He's no Dylan Deja Powers.
No, he's no Dylan Powers.
He's out there for that long, he's got to get more than one touch, don't you feel?
Yeah, I mean, look, 22 touches, I think, in one game, 29 in another. Look, he's a fantastic player. He just hasn't been for LAFC, but all can be forgiven if he has a big contribution as they propel. I can't say we, I'm not on the team. I don't play. But if they can make it to the MLS Cup and he takes care of business, all is forgotten. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And thank you once again for listening to us. This is Soccer in 60. We're live on 1490 AM, 98.1 FM, and much of the Inland Empire, KMET app, KMET1490am.com. Don't forget to follow Empire Strykers on Instagram, YouTube. Search Soccer in 60 to hang out with us every Thursday. I'm Nina Kiefer, and hanging out with me today has been Christian Philly Philemon, and of course, Tiki Tim Colaz. This has been a fun one. Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
It's Tiki Philly there, but yeah, this is fun.
Philly this week one more time for you there, Philly, my man.
Yeah, you said thank you, Nina. I'm saying I apologize to all you out there. But yes, thank you very much. This was a lot of fun.